better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. Appreciate it.
Course.
Of course. Hi.
Hi. So, Kathryn, I'm going to start with you. I find it absolutely fascinating that ultimately the theme for these witches in the story deal with the loss of their power and them trying to reclaim that back, which is a strong metaphor for women in real life, right? So, would you say that that's a fair assessment of what this story is, at least in part, that it's trying to tell?
Yeah, I feel like everybody, teen included in that, it lives in a society that there's a lot of the social norms don't allow for one to be their truest, authentic selves. And I think that's why the appeal of a witch has been so threatening, terrifying, and scary, is because a witch lives in a space that is so independent, that doesn't need men, that doesn't need to look pretty, that's like can say what they want, can have big messy rage, can have rage and express rage. So I think that's kind of why I think that's the enduring kind of like fascination with witches.
Yeah, yeah. And they're also just really cool and fun to watch them harness their powers and then sing like what you guys do in this incredible series. And Joe, your character doesn't have a name, at least yet, in the episodes that I've screened. How would you describe your character's relationship specifically to Agatha, and why do you think he's tethered to her so tightly throughout this story?
I couldn't tell if it was a yawn.
No, it was a how do I answer this question?
I was like, I know that's amazing.
It was a how do I answer this question without spoiling the spoiling the show. Teen is he's a big fan of witchcraft, and he wants power, and he sees Agatha as a way of getting that, and he is the facilitator of Agatha going on the road, and there's a lot I can say to this, but I just can't right now.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a great question. I really I want to be able to answer that.
But there's definitely like a unexpected warmth or connection between them, which is,
Yeah. I mean, so far from what we've seen and what we've been able to screen with these episodes, I really love the dynamic between the two of y'all's relationships. I'm curious to see how that grows throughout the season. Kathryn, back to you. Would you say that Agatha is someone who struggles to work well with others and is more independent with her goals? Or is she a team player and she's just misunderstood?
Oh, I think the former. I think that her idea of having to collaborate is her biggest nightmare. And so this needing other witches is it's like nails on a chalkboard. Like, she doesn't want to deal, but also knows that she has to. And so I think it takes a long, long time to see the value in that, in community.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, I just said like it takes her a long time to feel the value in community. Community.
There you go.
That's probably why you didn't understand me.
No problem. I absolutely love it. I love this series, and I love the Witches Road ballad. It's been like an earworm that's been playing.
Join the club.
Yeah, and then seeing it at D23 the other day with you guys was just absolutely great. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. I appreciate the conversation, and I can't wait for the series to come out and for everybody else to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was lovely.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi, Jamie.
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So Sasheer, I'm going to start with you. Jennifer is so interesting to me because in one aspect, she comes off as really super confident, but yet she's elected to stay complacent, working in retail, and not really living up to her fullest potential. So would you say that that's a fair characterization of who she is?
Absolutely, yeah. I think she kind of got the wind knocked out of her sails because, her agency got taken away a while ago, and she kind of resorted to being a snake oil salesman and, feeding into the, self-care machine. And Agatha kind of calls her out on it and is really good about helping her realize you have so much more inside of you that you're not even using. And I think Jen really learns that throughout her journey in the series, and I think it really shows, and the audience will see her growth.
Yeah. I've only screened the first 4 episodes, so I can't wait to see where the rest of her journey goes with this season. Allie, for you, Alice, she has a pretty complicated backstory that we learn, and it's attached to her mom, which is quite compelling. Do you think ultimately her mommy issues is why she's chosen to stay complacent and not actualize her power?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that she's hiding from herself. I think she's hiding from her legacy, which is related to her mom. I think she lived in not only her mom's shadow, but also, the trauma of what her mom was fighting. And I think she's afraid to enter into the same history and patterns of her mother, which, I think everyone can relate to on some level,
Yeah, it all goes back to the parents. Debra, for you, you're back as Sharon, who was part of the Hex in WandaVision. And it's interesting because she's sort of finding herself in yet another environment that's in unfamiliar territory for her. Do you think Sharon is someone that is easily gullible into being manipulated, or does
do
she
you think,
ultimately
Jamie,
know?
do you think? Yeah, I think maybe. I think a little bit, yeah. I think she desperately needs a friend. And, so she goes to a coven of witches. It's just her lot in life.
So, okay, so you do think she's gullible, or do you? I was wondering, maybe she thinks that she does kind of know what she's getting into.
No, I think she's just very naive. I think she just doesn't think about. I think she just sees what's in front of her, and her life is her life, and she knows what she knows, and I don't know that she wants to know anymore. She's just kind of, she kind of takes everything at face value.
Yeah. Sasheer, back to you. One of the things that I absolutely loved in this series while experiencing it is the costumes and the hair and the makeup. So what was that process like for you guys? I mean, how much did you guys enjoy getting to dress up through the production of it?
It was so fun. I had this beautiful pink dress.
She loves this pink dress. She will not shut up about this pink dress.
Every interview, this pink dress. Every single one.
Listen, our costume designer, Daniel, is a genius, and the pink dress is beautiful.
And we've asked her not to speak about it anymore, and she finds a way to bring it in.
But this pink dress
and you just helped her.
I mean, really, yeah, all the costumes were great, and I think the little detail that you see on everyone's costume that kind of tells their story is so important, and just like an extra layer that adds to everything else that's already going on.
And it created a continuity, even if the costumes change. There are elements that Daniel would bring from each costume in each evolving world, which was really cool.
It's amazing, the detail that he had. It was amazing.
Awesome. It was so beautiful. I also love the cinematography. I mean, tonally, the series looks so beautiful. There's moments where, it has these dark tones, but then it has these really light and colorful tones. So, incredible series. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time to speak to
Thank
Black
you.
Owner.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate the conversation, and I can't wait for everybody to see this. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Great,
Thank
thanks.
you.
And
Bye.
bye. Hi, Jack.
Hi,
So much. It's a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So the last time we spoke with you was during WandaVision, and now we're back to talk about Agatha All Along. Really excited about this project. I screened the first 4 episodes. It was really good. I'm a little disappointed that I can't finish it because I really want to see where this story is going to go. But I wanted to know from you, while you were crafting together this series and working with the incredible Kathryn Hahn, were there any moments from her performance that were happy accidents, where it just wasn't scripted and you guys just decided to go with those scenes?
That's hard to sort of pull out. I'm so sorry. It's like the end of the day, and my brain just decided to completely stop working. In the pilot episode, as Agnes of Westview, there was a lot of physicality that wasn't in the script, obviously, because I'm not so prescriptive with the words on the page to tell the actors like how to move every second of the scene. And so there was a lot of stuff that she did as Agnes that I really delighted in. There's a moment where she sort of man spreads in a way, like she's sitting on a couch and she made the choice to like splay, and we were all like, yep, that is correct for this character. Everybody loved this. That's like the worst answer to this question, but it was that stuff. It was like all the part where she like eats the donut, and is like scarfing it down. Yes. It was all that business that wasn't like, it wasn't like necessarily happy accidents or improving. It just was like her, especially as a comedian, she has a way of like embodying in a way, and the comedy is from the physical truth of it. And with that particular episode, it was just like on display every second of that shoot.
And that's what made me ask that question, was even seeing that moment with the donut, because I was just like, that just seemed very extra in that moment.
Yeah.
So that's good that you pointed that out.
Yeah.
I asked this question of Mary, and I want to ask this of you. I love the closing titles of this show because Marvel shows and Marvel TV shows, and particularly, I feel like the titles always tell a story. So were you guys trying to tell a specific story with these closing titles? Because it seems like there's like little elements and maybe even little Easter eggs that we need to try to figure out through these closing titles.
Yes. Yes. Excellent job. Like zeroing in on what's important. Yeah. We were very specific with the titles. I mean, on their face, like it is about witches throughout time, both in history and in pop culture. And it was very important to me that we do kind of like herky-jerky mixed media juxtaposition of, Lisa Simpson as a witch, against like the Salem witch trials. Like that's exactly what I wanted, is that jumping all around, because to me that is the show, and that is Agatha, right? She's from Salem, but she's living present day, and she gobbles all of that up. Additionally, yeah, there are secrets in the title sequence, and they kind of unfurl over the course of the series. So yeah, watch closely.
So they do kind of tie into some of the episodes of the show. Like there's some connective tissue.
There is connective tissue.
The titles and the episodes.
There is a connective tissue. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right. We got to do our little digging there. So our first introduction to Agatha is quite different to how we know her in the comics. Where do you see the trajectory of where her character is going? Is it meant to draw parallels from the comic with a few creative liberties, or her journey, is it going to be like full canon from what we know in the books?
Do you mean beyond Agatha, or in the show Agatha All Along? Did you mean in the larger MCU?
In the show Agatha All Along?
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot of invention. You know, like my process at Marvel has always been to respect the comics and use them as a jumping off point, and also really to kind of, like, there are specific pieces of art that inspire whole storylines, you know, and I really like to work that way. And this is really an example of that you know, we've taken pieces and images and ideas and created, you know, a wholly new story about Agatha.
Well, I look forward to seeing the rest of her journey when those additional episodes drop. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. I really appreciate the conversation.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hey. Hi, Mary. Hi, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I love this series, and I love the tone and the vibe of it. And one of the things that I was really excited to ask you about was, you know, this series has this nice mixture of like this Twin Peaks vibe. It's giving like the Craft vibes. And then it's got like this nice musical element to it. So how did you guys creatively decided where you wanted to go with how the show was going to feel and look?
Well, it all started with Kathryn Hahn, and many a times we have said that the tone of the show is Kathryn Hahn, but really the tone of the show is also witches. Witches can be anyone, they can be anything, and also just, I think, great storytelling takes you on a roller coaster. You want to feel lightness, you want to feel afraid, you want to feel sorrow, and our incredible cast takes us to all of those places.
They certainly do. And we get into some interesting adventures in each of these episodes, which I really enjoyed. I have not had the privilege, though, to screen all of the episodes just yet. But there's some heavy ties to WandaVision in this series. But would it be safe to say that there are some other stories from the Disney Plus universe that will cross over into this show?
What I can say is what's really wonderful about this show, you know, is that it's all about Agatha. She is a character who was incredibly obscure in the comics, and we never imagined when making WandaVision that we would be able to continue her story in her own show. I mean, this is a character who never even had a comic book, you know, starring her, which is actually a first for us at Marvel Studios. So fans of Agatha can drop in, or new fans of Agatha can drop in and get to know her and get to know this brand new coven of witches over the course of this show. But if you're also a fan of WandaVision, this certainly pays off a lot.
Yeah, as I was doing my deep dive into Agatha Harkness as she was introduced in WandaVision, I found out her origin story started in the Fantastic Four series. Mm-hmm. So hopefully maybe we'll see some crossover with the new Fantastic Four film. I know you can't talk about that, but that would be interesting. You know, you've worked on these incredible series that have been centered on women superheroes and protagonists with the comic book genre, from the Marvels to WandaVision and now this. What are you most proud of in your career so far?
I think I'm just always most excited about whatever's coming out next. We throw our whole hearts and souls into these projects and the stories of these incredible women and characters. Growing up, I had Marvel on my vision board, the red brick and Stan Lee. I am a big nerd who's getting away with it. So it's just really exciting to be here and to finally be able to talk about this show that we've been working on for, gosh, nearly 4 years now. Wild to think.
Wow, that's incredible. And one of the other things that was really incredible about this show is the titles which I just absolutely love. This one of the hallmark things about Marvel television is the opening and closing titles of a show. You just don't go through the titles. You have to watch the opening or the closing titles of a series. So with Agatha All Along, what was the thought process and the creative process with putting that together? Because I feel like it's telling a story of its own.
Like every corner of this show, it has secrets held within it, but at the same time, yeah, our closing credits are a blast. They are a celebration of witches and women and fantasy and horror throughout the eras and real life and in fiction. Really, a lot of them are probably also like gifts or images that we've sent to each other over the course of the making of this show. And they're just a creepy yet also joyful indication as to how we feel about this show. So we hope fans dig them.
I love it. I love the nods to Bewitched and nods to movies like The Craft, which is one of my favorite witch movies of all time, and absolutely love this series. So, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Black Girl Nerds. I appreciate the conversation, and I can't wait for everybody to see this when it comes out.
Me too. I hope you like the rest as well. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it. Thank you.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.